people love black holes. My students, like, I can,
Right, but
they love dark matter, they love dark energy, and you can explain to them alternatives that are much more physical and mundane. But at the end of the day, they still want to know, like, what's it feel like in a black hole, you
right,
know?
right. This is yeah. This what was Pace had a very good phrase for it. The idea of simultaneously being explained something and being told you can't understand it. The appeal of mysteries, and the Catholic Church knew about the appeal of mysteries. Oh, how can God be one and three at the same time? His own Son. This is a mystery. Yeah, it has
The
an
original
appeal,
wave particle duality.
but you know, uh, the newspapers, even though you know it is part of the modern epoch, the beginning of the 20th century, and the newspapers had immediate feedback. They could see that, they had the street sales as the immediate feedback that they could read the next morning in their sales. I mean, of course, they did have subscription. Most of their sales were streets. So this was a story that was selling. And you can see, and I point out in my book, how the story evolved because the first reaction to this quote, which did not originate with Einstein, but with another scientist, um, that only 12 people in the world could understand general relativity. The initial editorial reaction at the Times, so they were writing editorials about this, was this seems pretty unfair. This is such a big thing and only 12 people can understand it. Can somebody explain it to the rest of us? So that was their initial reaction. But within days, it came that they were celebrating this mystery, that, this is something that can only be known to a tiny number of people, that can only be understood. So the point was this development of the theoretical physicist, the mathematical physicist, as a priesthood, that was felt as a shockwave within physics very rapidly. Because up until that time, it isn't that there wasn't a tension. We see in the 19th century people like Maxwell who, you know, completely united theory and experiment. I mean, Maxwell's great insight at electromagnetism was a description of light, came from his understanding that recent measurements of what was the speed of light corresponded to a constant in the electromagnetic equations. So, but fast forward even a decade, he started being involved with, can we use the analogy, the mathematical analogy, which is very real, between electromagnetism and fluids, motion of fluids, hydrodynamics, which had been developing mathematically in the late 19th century, to get a mathematical model of atoms, a vortex model of atoms. So this idea that we can write the equations that describe everything was emerging even from, the giants of the 19th century who themselves, you know, tied their equations quite tightly to observations. But with this Einstein phenomenon, you get a flourishing. And obviously, yeah, who doesn't want to be, I won't say who doesn't want to be, but a lot of people quite enjoy the idea of being an intellectual priesthood, right? You know, you don't
And
get
it's
the middle
something
of,
for the masses to aspire to as well, right? So, oh, there's only 12 people who understand this. Perhaps I too can wrap my head around it and then become part of this vaunted class of the
I
few who
suppose,
know.
but it was more the thrill of trying to understand something that was really a mystery.
Mm.
What you talked about, today, why are black holes sexy, which they still are. Our videos come out of LPPFusion's research in fusion energy, the energy which will power a future of abundance for all, with a sustainable economy in a clean environment. Goods, housing, and transportation will be affordable to all once fusion kicks in. Fusion energy is the key to building a better world now. Support fusion research, $10 a month at lppfusion.com/support. The link is in the description. Thanks.